Welcome back to Studio 5. Chemistry is what initially brings a couple together, but over the years, life can throw out some curveballs, and that chemistry can ignite in different ways. Studio 5 relationship coach Matt Townsend has labeled this a chemical collision that happens in our relationships. Bam.
It's the Diet Coke Mentos example.
Yes.
Because that seems to only work like in a, I don't know, like a bottle. Because when I put a Mentos in my mouth and drink a Diet Coke.
You haven't tried that.
I have tried it.
You have?
I have.
Nothing happens?
Nothing.
It's got to be contained in plastic.
I felt gassy later, but I didn't want to go there. But I just did.
But you fire that up on YouTube, and you've got all sorts of, and that's
explosions.
Just two good situations.
Just simple thing. Two chemicals basically can collide. Now, what I want to talk about, two situations, two circumstances in our marriages. If we will just recognize the circumstance and create the other variable that needs to be there, boom, some powerful synergy can take place, which I would call chemistry. It would actually create connection and love. It's pretty powerful.
So it's like the Diet Coke's already there.
Yeah.
If you bring the Mentos to the party, then your relationship can grow.
Here's an example of one. You ready?
Yeah.
When a serious challenge meets a committed couple. Boom! Explosion. When a serious challenge, for example, I don't know, how about a cancer diagnosis, meets a couple that is connected and willing to work on it, that can create the most incredible love I've seen. I've had clients come in arguing about everything in the world, and in the middle of the whole program we were going through, he was diagnosed with cancer. And it changed the entire game.
Can that also, though, have the power to take it in the other direction? You hear all the time about couples that go through difficult times, and it actually rifts them apart. So what's the difference to make that chemistry positive?
Part of it is simply saying, I'm committed to you regardless of what's going on here. Like, for example, I just spoke at an infertility workshop and program for couples that are struggling with fertility. Major issue, major challenge, and when they meet it as a committed couple and say, we're in no matter what. We're going to work on this. We're going to learn. We're going to figure our way through it. Then all of a sudden, that risk and that commitment combine, and it creates intimacy and closeness. See, forever we think chemistry is just about va-va-va-voom. Yeah. But a lot of it, our goal is really to have a more intimate connection, not just a more chemically driven connection. Intimate means you can be vulnerable. So another intersection I'd watch out for is when you are vulnerable and then your partner meets your vulnerability with understanding. I had a couple come in, and she had just found out at 40+ years old, almost 50 years old, she's pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And interestingly, he met it with such grace, really, such love, such care. And instead of telling her, we'll be fine, and just trying to fix it for her.
Just being the man and jumping in and owning it.
He just laid next to her in bed for the entire night. He just held her and just kept saying, and just kept letting her talk. I'm gonna have kids at this age. My kids will be this old when I'm this age. And he just held it and just understood it.
She was vulnerable. He was understanding.
And it created, she said, they both said, that is the moment our marriage changed. It was that moment, because now they're going to be 50-year-olds, 50-something-year-olds with little toddlers running around.
Wow.
Huge deal, okay? That's just simply vulnerability and understanding. Another one is stimulating situations and an open person.
Okay, what's an example of that?
An example of that would probably be my wife, Marty. So we just had a chance to speak at Women's Conference.
Yes, you did.
Ow! It was so fun.
In front of, may I say, 4,000 people.
3 to 4,000, 38, 9, 900 people.
I'm rounding up. 4,000 people.
4,000 people. For me, super fun. That's so stimulating.
That's like your candy store.
There we are, and she got to speak for 25 minutes. And she could have been really closed down, really afraid, but she remained open to it. And it honestly, for the last month, has brought us closer together than anything I've ever done with her, probably.
So
well, babies, I mean, children, all that. But that was a long time ago. That's all down the river.
Yeah.
Now we're at this point where, you know, I get to speak a lot. She goes with me a lot. But when she finally stepped up to having to stand there and deliver, and she was open to it. Yeah. By the way, that could be anything. Just being open to going on the roller coaster. Just being open to go on a backpack trip. Just being open to try something new.
Well, you talk about the stimulating situation. That could be, like you say, just a variety of activities that enter your option of possibility, and you are open enough to say, okay.
Especially if you have a husband or a spouse that really is into being stimulated by doing crazy stuff. Yeah. You may have learned to close down, because this guy will kill you if you're not careful. So just opening up a little bit to that makes you vulnerable. And by the way, way, notice it goes back to vulnerability. So when we're vulnerable with each other and the other person holds it, and by the way, notice when your spouse is opening up to things like that, that creates more chemistry.
So you're telling me I need to go golfing with Mark.
Absolutely. And get good at it, Brooke.
Oh my gosh.
I bet you've got a great swing.
He asks me all the time, and I say, can I just ride in the cart? And he's like, I'd prefer you be out there swinging
Well, that's
with me.
fun too. But that's, you open up enough to get in the cart. Another one is selfless change and selfless desires. I have so many clients where one spouse has begged their partner to do this one thing because they're worried about their health. Take your medicine. The doctor told you years ago you needed to be on this medicine. I don't need medicine. And for years that person wouldn't take the medicine, and then all of a sudden they're willing to now take the medicine. Just a change that you know is good for you, that your partner's even been begging you to do that change, it'll create a connection.
And a lot of times we don't associate the word selfless with change necessarily, right? It's action, I think, that we associate selflessness with.
But see, sometimes you have to make an act or take an act that you don't want to take, but you do it for your partner. When I do an act, when I exercise, because I'd rather not, when I exercise, my wife really likes that. It's weird. It's totally weird. Do we have time for the last one?
Please.
Free time meets attentive partners.
What does this mean?
Number one thing I say, what's the time that you feel the most connected to your spouse? Almost universally, everyone says when we're on vacation.
Yes.
When we're on vacation, we feel so connected.
The cell phone's
Our marriage works so great.
You're not on the email.
That's the combination of free time and an attentive partner. If you have free time and an inattentive partner, you're not going to connect. If you have attentive partners with no free time, you're never going to connect. The key is put those two together. That can, by the way, happen anytime. We went to women's conference, walked around women's conference. Not usually a good thing for a guy. But it was free time with attentive partner. We didn't have our phones as actively involved as normal, and that created closeness and intimacy.
A friend of mine, and I think I've mentioned this before on the show, so forgive me, but in the last month or so, she took this tech challenge. I don't really know the details, but one of the aspects of the challenge was to not be on your phone when another person you love is in the room for a whole month. And she said it changed the game because anytime she did not die. But she said anytime her husband or her kids walked in the room and she was on Pinterest or she was on Instagram, she just consciously put it away, and there you go.
It creates closeness, it creates intimacy. So these are just intersections, but it's chemistry. You do certain things at certain times and mix two chemicals or mix two situations, it's going to work. It's going to work every time.
Good observation, Matt. Thank you so much, and way to go on Women's Conference.
Thank you.
I wish I could have been there, but I will be at your date night in June.
You got to be there for this one. Saturday, June 28th, 7 to 9:30, Sandy Amphitheater. We have the group Voicemail that's going to be singing with us. I'm probably going to do some numbers with them. Bust out a number. Tons of fun, but we'll change. It's for families. It's for everybody. We're going to talk change.
Awesome. We'll be there. Thanks, you so
Brooklyn.
much. All right, a one-stop shop for the cutest crafts our state has to offer. That's next.